Hey, House Churches. It's great to be with you. I hope you enjoy your time together this week. It is an up week, and we continued our series Greater this last week, where we're looking at the core values of PAC, and we specifically looked at the value process is greater than product, which is this idea that how we get somewhere is often more important than where we actually get to. And we looked at a story to really dive into this value at PAC this last week, in a story that takes place in Luke 24. It's just after Jesus has died and he's starting to show himself in his resurrected state. The story we specifically looked at was the road to Emmaus, where there's two friends of Jesus walking down this road. And all of a sudden, this third person comes to join them, who is Jesus. But for some reason, God doesn't let them see that it is actually Jesus walking with them. And as they begin to conversate, Jesus asks them, "Why are you disappointed? Why are you sad?" And they go, "Haven't you heard? Haven't you heard that Jesus died? And we thought he was going to be the one." You see, they had this idea that Jesus was going to come and fix the world. All their problems would be solved. And yet they find themselves in a situation or a season in life where they're really disappointed, where they've lost, where they've experienced things that they felt they had no control over. And now they're disappointed because this idea of God that they had didn't come through for them. And I think we can experience that in our own lives as well in different seasons, especially in seasons where we've lost, where we feel disappointed or discouraged, or things didn't work out the way we thought they were going to. And we can even get frustrated with God in those seasons and go, "Why, God? Why, God?" And so my question mark, as I read through the story, The Road to Emmaus, was, what is my view of God? Do I have a view of God that is kind of the same as these two men who are walking down the road? A God who will deliver, let's call it the product that I desire in my life, or the ideal circumstances that I have in my life? Is that the view of God that I have? Am I praying in a way where I'm asking God to deliver a product, to just come and provide quick solutions to some of the things that are going on in my own heart and life? Am I looking for God to just orchestrate things for me so that I can live in these idealistic circumstances? Is that the view of God I have? Or is my view of God one where I see a God who leads us into process? So again, the question mark there is my view of God one who delivers product, or is my view of God a God who leads us into and through process? My light bulb moment came really at the end of the story in The Road to Emmaus. Jesus eventually reveals that it is him, that there is this divine moment through communion, through the breaking of bread, through these really natural things, and through scripture. And after he reveals it, that it is him to these two men, he disappears. And then they say to themselves, "Weren't our hearts burning the whole time that he was with us? Weren't our hearts burning the whole time that he was with us?" This is where my light bulb came in, as Jesus is the perfect representation of God. These men are disappointed, they're hurt, they're discouraged. Jesus enters into the story with them, and he walks through the process with them. And he doesn't just fix everything for them, but rather he enters into the story with them. Then he reveals to them that this story has been unfolding forever, and that he is a God of process. He does that through the scriptures, and we see that we have a God who is a God of process in the scriptures. He leads Adam into process, and David into process, and Moses into process, and Jesus has to go through process. 2, he prays, "Father, if there's any way you can take this cup from me." Jesus essentially understands what it's like to want that quick solution, going, "Father, if there's any way that you can just fix this, can you do that?" And yet we have a God who leads us into process. That line, weren't our hearts burning in us the whole time he was with us? That's really significant. That's where the light bulb comes. There are seasons in our life where it really doesn't feel like God is doing things, or we can't see him, or it feels like he's not speaking to us, or we're really just frustrated with the process that God has us in. But then we see that he is with us in all of it. And my light bulb was this idea that not only do we have a God who leads us into process, but he's in it with us, because he is more interested in heart transformation than our idealistic circumstances. He's all about our hearts. My arrow or conviction for this week is the reality in my own life is that I still often find myself praying prayers, asking for a quick solution, for God to just solve the things that are going on in my life. And I also find myself trying to avoid the process that I know God is calling me into at different times in my life. And that's my conviction. My prayer for you as you dive into the process is greater than product this week is that you would have the courage and the strength to embrace the process, to embrace the season that you're in right now, to work through the hard and difficult things inside your heart and the circumstances that are going on in your life, that you wouldn't avoid the process, but you would enter in to the process, knowing that as you do that, God is with you. And my prayer for you is that you look back on this season in your life, whether in your great spot or a really difficult spot, and you go, whether things are good or bad, you catch yourself a year, 2 years from now going, wasn't my heart burning that whole time? Didn't I know that he was with me through all of that? I pray that you have a great conversation. Bless you guys. Have a great week.